Have you ever tried a case with a little bit of fire in your belly?
You know,
That's a yes. All right, welcome to this episode of Bourbon of Proof, and we are very honored to have Louisville's own kindred son, Sean Simpson here. Sean, thanks for coming on, dude.
My pleasure, man. Always good to hang out with you, Bob.
Yeah, so Sean is a trial lawyer, office in San Diego, but he's been living in Louisville since 2015.
Thereabouts. Our farm's actually in Lexington, but I spent a lot of time in Louisville, Cincinnati. Still have a farm up in Springfield, Illinois, where I grew up.
And we have bringing back to co-host Mr. Chris Hart, AKA Whiskey Pete of Whiskey Neat, Whiskey Social.
Howdy, howdy. Excited to be here. I have a lot of questions about how this works.
Oh, I hope I can answer some. Being a lawyer, I'm used to asking questions, so answering questions is really different.
Yeah, I did a little research beforehand, and of course, I watched your episode you guys did before.
And we had to bring back, of course, Mara Fiore. It's one of the most well-received episodes of Bourbon Approved. And you're dressed as the Tiger King today.
Well, you know, I had worn this outfit earlier in the week, and it got a real warm reception. So Bob asked me to bring it out of retirement for one more episode.
So Sean, first of all, before we like to drink and talk.
Yeah, let's get to it.
let's get right down to it. Okay, so tell us one of the bottles you brought, and we'll pass it around and pour it, and you tell us what you brought.
You know, a nice little one to start was that Belle Meade with the Mourvedre red wine finish is really tasty. I've gotten to the point where I kind of got bored collecting the standard, Kentucky bourbons, because eventually there's not a whole lot of difference. You know, the older ones are more softer, more vanilla, caramely, but the newer ones have a stronger fruit, more oaky. But then it's more interesting to see, wow, what's a finish like that going to taste like? And so a lot of these I brought today are finished in either sherry or rum barrels, things like that, nice. And just to kind of add a little variety to your normal bourbon drinking. And it's fun. I'm not a bourbon connoisseur by any means, so don't be mistaken.
You like what you like.
Yeah, but I like the adventure. I like the wow.
You didn't even wait. Like this guy's just drinking.
He's here, the color man.
Yeah, I'm always known to jump the gun.
We'll say cheers. I'll slow down.
Absolutely, guys.
Cheers to being here.
Cheers.
Yeah, I had the privilege of sitting down with Charlie and his brother in the distillery to talk about their history. They have the most incredible history.
Ooh. Yeah.
His great-grandfather, maybe great-grandfather, great-great-great, I don't know. But they came over from Europe, and he didn't trust anyone, so he melted down all of their worldly possessions into gold bars and put them into a lined suit. And then that boat, he went overboard.
Oh no! With all the gold.
With all the gold on him, and it weighed him down. And they've actually looked at going to go excavate to see if they can.
That's outrageous.
Is that called excavate or dive? They know about where he fell overboard.
Like Jacques Cousteau.
There's no way.
He's still under the water, just held down by gold bars.
What if he formed Atlantis?
Yeah, that's exactly right.
Wow, that'd be wild. That'd be a story.
Well, I noticed for sure that it has a red color to it.
Yeah, it pulls out the red from the Mourvedre red wine barrel to finish. If you bust into that Ghirardelli chocolate, it'll nibble that with this stuff. It's like, makes the chocolate and the wine taste.
I mean, are those like real chocolates, or did you spike it with something?
I didn't do it myself, so I
cannot confirm or deny as a trial lawyer.
It hasn't been open. It's Ghirardelli.
This isn't a formal deposition, just so you know.
One of our trial lawyer friends offered us chocolates one time, and there was more than chocolate.
Yeah, I bet I know who that was.
Yeah, and I was like, well, I had to get a disclaimer. I said,
things got real colorful after that.
For them, I guess.
I can't do that edible stuff.
Yeah,
can't do it.
I have no comments on this. So the Mourvedre barrels, it's interesting. So much of American whiskey has copied Scotland for years. And in Scotland, it's accepted to use wine barrels. Some people are a little bit snob. The purists in Kentucky, they're like, I want pure bourbon.
They like the bourbon pure.
It's got a real kind of a sharp, defined edge to it. But if you drink bourbon all the time, I usually have one or two a night with dinner, and if you start to drink the
3 or 4,
Blands, you start going, that tastes the same, but then this is like Blands with a different taste to it.
You need to change it up.
Yeah.
So Sean, how did you get to Kentucky? I mean, everybody knew you. I mean, I knew you growing up as a great trial lawyer in San Diego. And then I didn't even know you were in Kentucky till we were talking whiskey and you shipped some to my house. Like, fuck, this guy's actually in Kentucky.
I am still officially my legal address is in Lexington, but my law practice is still in San Diego. I'm leaving tomorrow to go back there to try a case starting Monday. But what happened was my wife's been a trainer forever, since she's like 8 years old, or a rider since then. She's been a trainer for 20, 30 years. And when we visited our farm in Illinois and she saw horses out roaming the pasture and being horses and playing and rolling in the grass and eating the grass, she said, wow, we need to move back here. And we would have moved to Springfield, but my brother, who's an Olympic gold medalist, said, don't go to
Your brother's an
Springfield.
Olympic gold medalist?
Yeah, my older brother's on horseback, a rider. I come from a family of horses.
Wow.
So 2008 Olympics Beijing, scored a gold medal. It's like,
Get the heck out of here.
talk about, Dad, older brother, make me feel hopeless and worthless and unable. But anyway, no.
So are you having a whiskey line sponsor his journey through the Olympics?
I should do that. He'll probably be back in the Olympics again. He's still riding. He's in Florida right now, killing it. He's got a great horse. It's a horse rider combination. He is 60 or 61.
What?
Wow.
So you can. That's a weird thing about horses. You can ride until. And Bernie Miller, Arnie Miller from Canada, has ridden in the Olympics 3 times, and he's like 75 years old. Because it's really about the horse, as long as you can be a good enough athlete to stay on and got the hands and the brain to make it go the right way, and jump over 6-foot fences.
Every time I ride a horse, my legs are so sore.
Yeah,
I mean, it's just
that's I don't ride often either, and that does it to me.
Oh, man. I mean, but I know Mara likes to go bareback. So.
Oh, yeah, bareback.
Well, you're getting a little too personal.
On those horses out in front of the Kmart, he gets right up on there, puts the quarter in. And there's
Oh yeah, well that's what we mean, yeah. But he rides those bareback. It's strange.
But so we moved back, my wife, and we've been so happy. The horses love it back, and she's kind of a humanitarian, you know. Horses got to be happy. She loves her horses. Some horses ride for a business. She's not a business person.
Well, what's your quality?
No,
of
I've
life
been called a
change?
humanitarian myself.
Really?
Yes.
Somebody didn't know you?
Yeah.
Somebody said.
I'm extremely humble as well.
Yeah, very humble. But anyways, what were you saying about the horses?
No, but I want to know about. I mean, what's the lifestyle change for you? You know, you're a California trial lawyer, and then you pull the trigger, and then all of a sudden you're living in a farm in Kentucky.
Yeah, you know, it's funny because my practice had kind of blossomed to where I was getting phone calls from people that read like the Wall Street Journal article or Chicago Tribune articles from LA Times and stuff about some of the weird cases I was having. And they said, I got a case just like that. Either a lawyer or a client would call and say, hey, they did that to me too. You know, the loss prevention, retail theft, coerced confession stuff. So then I thought, God, you know, if we're back here, your horses are happy, you're happy, and I'm more centrally located. Go to New York and to, it's hard to travel out of California, to Florida, to New York. It's a day travel. Where from here, I can get to Texas, to Colorado, anywhere is like a 2 or 3 hour flight. California is 3.5, but.
So is your trial coming up in San Diego? I know you have one coming up in Florida too.
That's one of the loss prevention. This was a brain injury case in a car crash brain injury that Jamie's working up. Jamie kind of took over.
So for those that don't know, his daughter Jamie is a lawyer, practices with him, and was up for Trial Lawyer of the Year recently for hitting massive verdict 2020 or 2019.
Yeah, we had a COVID verdict where it was her first multi-million-dollar verdict that she was starting to think, gosh, Dad, I've had 8 or 9 verdicts now, 6 or 7 with you, and I keep 300, 400, but she couldn't break the $1 million. Kind of young lawyers, they got that barrier, like you want it, you're not a lawyer till you can get $1 million better case for some reason. So she kind of had her first one back in October 2020 during COVID. It's kind of cool.
Yeah, and Jamie, I've sat on a few panels for her. One, we were in Mexico together in the Dordick Trial College one, and she's phenomenal, man. Your daughter knows her shit.
Oh man, I had to get out of the way. I said, Jamie, you're hitting it. It took me 15 years to hit my first big, and she was in her 7th or 8th year, and I defer to her. She's much more IT savvy, much more business savvy. I was just kind of winging it and doing,
Well, let's do another pour, because I want to talk next segment about the kind of the remote, because you've been doing remote before people were doing remote. Like you've been here, just traveling back and forth.
I'm starting to realize I'm the whiskey guy, but I'm the slower drinker here.
What's next, boys?
Well, lawyers have a heavy hand, my friend. We got to decompress, de-stress pretty quick. I want to see this. What's the one from
the
Portland?
teardrop?
Yeah, do that teardrop bottle. It's an interesting one for many reasons. I'm a big supporter of what Teresa Bowen and Courtney
Freeland.
Rowley
This
and my
is called
daughter's kind of
Freeland.
joined in that force, and Kelly Hanker. I've been thinking, God, having some of my biggest verdicts in sexual harassment cases and coerced confession cases, I'm thinking, who the hell gives anybody the right to think women aren't equal to men anywhere, especially the courtroom? And so this is Freeland Farms is in Portland, Oregon.
More for yourself.
It's a woman-run, all women-owned and all women-run establishment. And I kind of started collecting bourbons outside of Kentucky because I started seeing a lot of similarities in all the, Bardstown. When you got up to like 80, 90 bottles, I'm like 110. I don't have a huge collection, but like 105, 110 bottles. So I started going to other states. And I was going, God, Ohio stinks. Same limestone, but it's just not the same. Indiana, fishy, smoky. Tennessee, not the best. But this is actually something I'd compare to a Kentucky bourbon, and it's from Portland, Oregon, of all places.
Wow.
So, and I thought the lady-owned thing was cool. I was really fascinated by that, and I want to go visit them sometime. I'm actually about 10 chapters done with a 13-chapter book on punitive damages with trial guides who you know.
Really, yeah.
So, and they're in Portland also. So I said I'm going to do a double visit and go see that distillery and visit trial guides. And so, anyway,
Yeah, I have
here's to
a-
women in law and women in the world.
Yeah,
Sure.
Quality for all,
I mean, what would life be without women? You know,
Pretty boring.
a bunch of guys.
Pretty small.
Yeah.
Everything would be fun all
Oh, this
the
is
time.
really good. This is smooth.
No, I think it's interesting you say that.
Yeah, Chris has 3 daughters. I'm about to have my 3rd daughter, so we're all
Wow.
into, girl dad and
I have 2 daughters.
2 daughters. Yeah.
Have we didn't discuss it in the last episode, but have you decided on a cutoff, or is
I don't. So well, first, my wife, she's like, I'm 40, I'm pregnant. Then she's like, it was all, you got to get snipped as soon as it's over. And then the other day, she says to me, she's like, let's have like 5 kids. I was like, well,
my wife's mother had her last kid, number 7, at 47,
wow.
and they're all relatively normal. So there's something. If you can afford it, and you within your daily job and everything, keep going. Just
Yeah,
keep
I-
going. They're so
Yeah.
fun.
I'd love it.
Growing up the son of an obstetrician, I saw it change from used to be like amniocentesis mandatory at 35, then it went to 40. Now it's optional till 45. They don't really require you. An OB-GYN won't require you mandatory until 45 now. It's soon to be 50.
A mandatory what?
Amniocentesis, where they go in and pull out fluids from your uterus and check the chromosomes
yeah,
and
yeah,
stuff.
gotcha.
So you can know before you have the baby whether it's
Sure.
going to have problems. It's just for chromosome.
Well, we as a society, I think we're aging a little slower, right? Like when you were 40 in 1985 is
Yeah.
different than when you're 40 now.
Well, yeah, and life expectancy is up in the 80s now. It used to be in the 60s, 70s. And medicine and lawyers are making the world a safer place, and people are living a lot longer.
I mean,
So,
going back to female-driven, I'm interested to know how they distill this, because you're right. You mentioned a few states that suck. They're different than Kentucky.
Yeah.
I think it has to do with distillation method. A lot of craft distillers bought pot stills, which mimics Scotch,
yeah,
whereas all your favorite bourbons are column still.
big tall columns rather than
Yeah.
the flat, small pot still.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I'm trying to finish this before I jump to that, but I'm interested to see.
Oh
if
yeah,
it's,
it's not for not
I
being
think
a
it's very
Kentucky
good.
bourbon.
Smooth. It's got to be lower proof, though. I mean, it's,
I guess in the low 90s,
yeah.
but it's drinkable though. Some of the Ohio and Indiana
92?
stuff,
Yeah.
some of the Ohio
like
and
it a
Indiana
lot.
It's very
is
good.
almost not drinkable. I mean, it's just I have to make
I
myself
don't know
enjoy
if I've
it.
had ones from
I should have brought one, but I didn't want to ruin
Where's
the day.
where's Whistle Pig from? Where's that from?
Whistle
Vermont.
Pig is-
Vermont?
They have a fascinating story.
They're almost all rye, but
Yeah, no,
tasty.
that's pretty good. I know
They
it's
started
not-
doing bourbon recently.
Did they really?
Really?
Yeah.
Good
And you're
to
a
know.
huge Whistle Pig fan.
love it because I love rye, man.
You
I
guys
just-
did 2 or 3 barrels.
We did 1 barrel Whistle Pig. No, but I mean, I just like that earthier tone sometimes. Like the Whistle Pig, you can kind of taste like dirt with it. which I
Yeah.
love.
And just a good mouthful of spice.
Oh yeah. I mean,
The
it's
rye,
allspice.
the rye just gets you so good. And
So how does it? I mean, I guess you have to get the practice completely up and running, self-sufficient, in order to be based in Louisville.
You gotta delegate and trust a lot.
You know, and
too.
at first when I had to travel to try a case, and you've done it, and you get to a hotel and you take all your boxes and you stack them up along the wall, make like an artificial temporary bookshelf, and at night you move the beds over, and it's like, it's a little hard though when 2 in the morning you're getting that final outline done, and the bed's right there, and you're at the desk. If you're at the office, you're still a mile or 10 miles from your home or whatever. But being right in that hotel room, kind of like, I could lay down. I'm gonna read in bed, and then you wake up in the morning going, oh shit, I fell asleep.
That never works for me when I'm in travel. If I go back to my room, I go to bed.
Right.
I stay in the courthouse, the cafeteria, any place. But if I go to the room, I'm
Yeah.
done.
We try to get a conference room in the hotel so we can be away from our room, because if you're working, we always set a goal to get to bed by midnight. And every once in a while we meet that
Dude,
goal.
when I'm in trial, I'm in bed by like 8, 9.
See, you got more help than I do.
But I get up. Yeah, but I get up at like 4. And prep.
Okay,
I'm
so you
a
balance it
I'm a
the morning
morning
way.
prep guy.
Yeah,
How long has your practice been around?
I started my firm in 2010.
Really?
So 12 years.
And you?
I was defense until 90, and then 91 I was with the plaintiff lawyer for a year, and then I started my own from 92.
Long
Wow.
time. man.
Wow.
Yeah.
What about you?
I started my practice in 1998. I know I look extremely young for that.
Based off some of the stories I heard from you last night,
I've somehow managed to practice law for almost 25 years. Shocking even to myself. But yes, I've been doing it for a long time.
Yeah, but it's Sean, a lot of folks that started their practice in the 90s can't get used to this virtual,
Oh man, I hate it.
having offices everywhere, doing stuff differently type stuff. But like we've talked, and look, during COVID, you were stuck in a hotel room in like Virginia or Washington or something crazy.
Oh yeah, I don't mind being in different cities. In fact, I love it. You learn so much from just the local culture. I always go sit in the jury lounge before trial, just kind of look around, pretend like and just see what shoes they're wearing, what they're reading, and what kind of language they have. And it's funny. I've tried them from Houston to Florida, New York, and just every place is different. You know, you go to Illinois, you got to have 12 out of 12 civil. You go to Texas, it's 10 out of 12. And it's got to be the same 10 out of 12. Where in California, it can be any 9 out of 12. All these little things you learn.
What are the 10 out of 12? What
The verdict, like criminals always 12, pretty much always 12 out of 12.
Jurors have to be unanimous.
It's got to be unanimous, yeah.
Or 8 out of 8 in federal. But some states, like Illinois, is unanimous civil. Florida is 9 out of 12. Texas is 10 out of 12, one closer to unanimous. And it has to be the same 10 on every vote, which is kind of weird. But in California, it can be as soon as any 9 agree on it, then they'd say yes on that or no on that. Hopefully yes. But
Yeah. I always thought it was always hard. I get the criminal stuff to have unanimous, but it's hard to have civil people agree with that burden approved. Not bourbon approved. Shit, look at that.
No, it's bourbon
But
approved.
it's bourbon approved.
Legally.
Have you ever tried a case with a little bit of fire in your belly?
you know,
That's a yes.
Does that mean drinking while I'm good? That's awesome.
I was going to say yes eventually, but I want to blame it on someone else first.
Okay.
Some of my early trials, I'd be at lunch and for some pretty prominent trial lawyers, and I'm looking, oh God, he got a martini for lunch. We got another martini for lunch.
Oh God.
And he walked back in court, no notes, no nothing, and just like Spence style, just shellacking a witness. Because I didn't know that it's all about telling your story. Yeah. You know, whoever the witness is, you just start telling your story. And so I kind of learned from Phil Corboy. It wasn't him, but he had a different drink. But in Chicago, and he was the first one to kind of make me realize that it's like you said, unanimous is real hard. But I said, God, unanimous. I mean, he said, you know what? If you can get 8, you can get 9, you get 10, you can get 12. Because if you got 7 or 8 that are with you, they're going to get the rest for you.
Yeah.
Because the only way to get out of there is to get everybody to agree. And the 7 or 8 that are with you, you hope, are going to get the other 2 or 3. And I thought that makes sense. I mean, I don't know if it always works like that, but people in Chicago, buddies there, don't have any more. I've only had 1 civil hung jury, and nobody there's really had any problem with hung juries.
I'm sorry. So get back to you drinking. Go back.
Oh, I kind of started. I do every once in a while. I'll have a beer, a nice craft beer or something, but never more than 1.
There's a
You could have
fantastic.
one. You could have one. I think no more than one, or else it gets
Right.
a little.
There's a fantastic film. I forget
It's
the
like
name
if you
of
shake
it.
more than 3 times, you're.
Yeah. You're playing with it. No, Mads Mikkelsen did a great film, but there's also a book called Drunk by Edward Slingerland that basically says that there's actually this area between 0.01 and 0.0405 that you are at your peak creativeness.
I think that's what Michael Jordan called the zone.
The zone, right?
Loosen up a little bit.
Yeah, anything over that, you're actually close to being drunk. But 0.01, 0.05, you're at your creative peak. Great for discussion, great for debate, great for creative writing, songs, whatever the case might be.
My old barber used to say, Sir Richard, my old barber, he'd say,
Sir Richard.
Sir Richard, he was a Mexican guy in East LA, and I think he called himself Sir Richard.
It's a great name.
Yeah, and he said, you know, drinks are like breasts on a woman.
Okay.
One's not enough and 3's too many.
Okay. Brings it home.
So I kind of get his.
And that's why we're having back Bar Fiore.
Yeah.
I get his, you know, that like you're saying, there's a point there where you're.
Yeah. Where you're really operating on all cylinders.
Yeah, like if I play golf and I have a couple Bloody Marys, man, I'm hitting some shots.
Yeah.
But if I have more than 2 Bloody Marys, I'm hitting it in the water.
Where'd that ball go?
Yeah, there is an audio version of that book. I would highly encourage it, but it talks
check it
about
out.
your creative process, because what lawyers do is no different than what any other artist does. You have to find a way to approach this discussion.
This is the hardest thing for lawyers to know.
And
They can't get past that. They think so linear that I have to be prepared. It's about this fact. I got to do these facts and this. When I mean, ask Sean. That's not what it is.
You would think it's counterintuitive, because you'd think I would have a drink when I'm freaking out, not as prepared as I'd like to be.
Right.
But I won't do it then. But maybe I should, because I normally have one when I go, okay, Jamie's taking the 2 witnesses. I only have 1 smaller, couple of these witnesses. I'm really prepared. I'll have a beer or a 1.5 a small port lunch. But it should be the other way, I guess. But I won't do it. I'm too scared to do it when I'm not fully.
One of my best crosses
on my
I ever
game.
did was because the night before I was trying a case in San Diego, and I had like 1 witness the next day was an economist, and I was like, I'll just do like a 3-second cross, like who cares? So went out and I got, I had a lot of drinks, and I had an epiphany while I was drinking. I was like, oh, I'm gonna go here with my crowd. This is what I'm gonna do.
You got real creative.
Oh, I got real creative.
You're absolutely correct. That approach is the way to do that.
So I went in the next morning. What I thought was going to be, it ended up being like an hour cross. He was beaten by best witness. I made him add up all the numbers. I quoted Bob Dylan.
Oh, cool.
You know that
Which way the wind blows?
Yeah,
you don't need a weatherman to tell you which way
exactly.
the wind blows.
But this guy was also a lawyer. He was an economist that also was a lawyer. So I was like, hey, I started cross. I got to ask you a question. I said, who's the most quoted man in legal history? And the guy's like, I know this one. His defense lawyer's like, oh God, where is this going? And he's like, it's Bob Dylan. I was like, what does Bob Dylan say? He's like, you don't need a weatherman to tell you which way the wind blows. I was like, that's right. So I was like, let's talk about a few weathermen. And I went up and just started writing all the money that all of their experts had earned in this case. And he started adding it up, and I had him adding future damages to everybody else. It was hilarious. They kept objecting. The judge is like, he's just doing math. Like, he's an economist. He's your expert. The defense would let him answer a question.
Bob Dylan's the most quoted man in legal history?
Yeah.
Everybody
For
uses
that quote, pretty
I
much.
use that slide in every close I've ever had.
But if you get it into evidence, even better. Get a witness to say it. But it's true because they say you don't need to have an expert essentially prove what most people just know.
Well, it's like spirits, right? So in spirits, you need the money crunchers, the number of people, the Excel spreadsheet people. But in order to create a product that's successful, it has to look good. You have to have the creatives involved.
Yeah.
So it's no different than legally speaking. You have to have your people who do all the work, the grunt work, the paperwork, the typos, all that stuff. But you've got to have someone that's thinking outside the box.
Correct, you have to.
And they have to have someone, and
they can't be caught in the weeds.
They can't. They have to be so comfortable in their own skin that they allow their brain to just think outside the box. I mean, that outfit is not anywhere inside that box.
Have you ever worn this to court?
No, I mean I would, but
For a Friday
you know,
night.
I've experienced recently talking about being creative in the courtroom. Judges really stifling creativity. You know what I mean?
They do.
They don't like
judges hate it.
They're very particular in yes ma'am, no ma'am,
Oh man,
outfits
I mean,
you're wearing.
I start talking about especially me. I start telling stories and bullshit and whatever, talking personal stuff. Oh, Mr. Fair, I don't want to hear any more about any more personal details.
This is my courtroom. Back to me. Back to me.
If you see, you slip shit in, especially in jury selection. I had a case the other day. This lady said she worked at Disneyland. I was like, oh man, I got 3 kids. Maybe you could hook me up with some season passes.
That's exactly how he says it.
Objection.
No, she said, I work at Disneyland. I said, well, what do you do at Disneyland? She says, oh, I work on their, corporate compliance department or something, and I deal with the Make-A-Wish Foundation people that come to Disneyland. Wow. And I said, well, I want to make a wish for 3 passes for my 3 kids.
And you fit it in nicely.
Oh yeah, and the jury, everybody's laughing. It was funny, and then the judge was just like, I don't want to hear any more personal details.
Yeah,
I was like, geez,
They suffer no fools. They have no sense of humor.
because they don't want.
It's like referees in any sports. They make it the ref show or the ump show. They got to be the most important person. in the room. Just let the game happen.
Well, the defense lawyers, this nuclear verdict attitude is really, they're making motions to prevent us from saying one word about ourselves. You can't even say, oh, thank you, I agree with that. Oh no, it's getting stifling.
They filed that motion that the 2 that I see in LA for like the LA guys or California guys is they filed a motion against Nick Rowley that Nick can't say he was a medic in the Army. Yeah. And then there's a lawyer named Arash Hamanpour where they filed a motion in limine to say he can't cry because the son of a bitch cries in the courtroom. But he's not putting it on.
Or say he's a DJ.
He cries. The guy really does
He's
cry.
had a $60 million verdict
he
last
feels
week.
It, the guy feels it deeply in his soul and he cries. Yeah. And they file a motion limine to keep him from crying. He's like, well, how do you do that?
How do you enforce that?
You can't. He's like, I'm not a robot.
It's not crocodile tears.
It is hard. Like, it is emotional because we do a lot of catastrophic injury cases, and I don't know it's for you, but it's very hard for me to do the plaintiff's testimony without I can't look at them or feel emotional about it because I start crying. Like, it's very hard.
Things
for me
that trigger you like that. And
it is
apple
like
comes in your throat. And
exactly.
You're like, you can't stop it.
You can't.
Yeah. And if you fight it, it's worse. Sometimes you say, give me a moment. You just have to turn your back, catch your breath, and come back. Because if you keep trying to go, it'll just last and last sometimes.
Let's get past
calls for another drink.
Let's get past the .01 and get to the point, like, we got to
03, 04.
By your left side, there's a box down there on the floor. A little Tennessee is almost drinkable.
Okay, go ahead. Sorry.
Great story.
Yeah.
The peg leg porker.
Peg leg porker. The guy's got a great barbecue shop in Tennessee, Nashville, and he just decided he wanted to do some distilling. And he's got an actual peg leg. And somebody told him one time, he said, "You're so successful."
Wait, let me see. Can you show that bottle to the camera?
Yeah, look at that freaking pig.
Look at
It says,
that.
"Forget the horse and the Blantons. We're gonna have a pig on our bottle." I was like, so being a barbecue guy, And it's not my favorite bourbon, but it's a different
I
variety.
mean, I like the bottle. Like I'm again marketing sales guy. I see this, I'm like, I'll buy that bottle. It's got a pig on the
See,
top.
then again, yeah, it's kind of it's my adventure purpose. I'm like, okay, I'm out of town. I run into it. I meet the guy at the barbecue, and says, let's try it out.
This is good.
And apparently, I don't know
Yeah,
if the
put that
story's
one right up
actually
there
true,
so
but
you could see
it's
it in the light.
Ooh, the nose on this is incredible.
man, this is
caramely
good.
and sweet, a little bit soft,
Wow.
very soft palate.
Excuse me, sir.
Oh, Dad, what are you doing? What is this?
How did they let
He
these
sees.
vagrants
That's
on
not
the
Whistle
set?
Pig. What are you doing?
Oh, that's not Whistle Pig? It says a pig.
There's vagrants.
You know, I
on
did-
Dad,
the
we're
set.
filming a show, dude.
I did learn
What are
once.
you doing?
We're filming a show. We're like, on
Gosh,
set.
Dad.
We're filming a show right
Where's
now,
the
dude.
camera?
Dad, I'm with
We're
my
drinking on
friend.
TV. We're
Are
drinking on
we
camera.
live?
Oh no,
Are
come
we
on.
live?
All right, Dad. Let my friends and I hang out.
Gosh, Dad.
Come on, Dad.
I'm with my
We
friend.
got all
we're
the
not-
good bourbon over here. This is bullshit.
This is a warm up. We're not really filming right now.
Never
Oh, this is
Yeah,
this
we're
is
filming.
rolling.
We're
This is,
filming.
um,
This smells great, by the way. And,
Look at a special box
Have
comes out. He
have
gets
you
a
Chris,
handy
learned
man.
the snobby way to smell
Thank you.
whiskey? Instead, I said mouth open, like, and then actually you taste your nose and
Retrohaling.
your mouth. Yeah, like
Yeah.
I'm like, it
Looks
looks
a lot of
funny. It's like,
tobacco in
"Ugh."
it.
Mouth open?
Yeah, they say smell your bourbon or sherry, whatever. With your
Oh,
mouth
this is
open,
very good.
you'll get more flavor.
I've smelled a lot
This
of
is
things,
very good.
never with
There's
my
a
mouth
ton
open.
of tobacco on this.
This is very good.
Yeah,
This
smooth.
is very good.
It's distilled in
It doesn't have a
Tennessee.
big, it's not cask strength, but it's very tasty.
Oh, I know what this is. This is Dickel.
Yeah, Dickel makes it.
Yeah, yeah,
You
so-
know, it's a mystery.
you
know
A lot of people don't know.
Narrow it down. At 15 years in Maine, Tennessee, there's only one option. It's Dickel. But Dickel, old Dickel is fantastic. 15, 16, 17 year
Mara
old.
loves old Dickel.
Well,
He'll take any Dickel he can get.
I'll show you the old Dickel later. If you want it.
One's not enough and three's too much.
There we
Is that
are.
like- Is that like a tickle-later thing?
That was a third. So.
You know, I have
man.
I have a Dickel that's
Okay,
George Dickel's a bourbon company.
now.
Oh, yeah, yeah,
All right,
yeah.
our minds wander.
I have a George Dickel that's Tabasco. They finish it in Tabasco barrels.
Yep, I know that one.
And I'm not a big fan of it, but my wife likes
It's probably good for a Bloody Mary or something.
She likes
This must be good
And I
shit
can't
because
stand Bloody
a
Marys.
wine gnat came out and started flying around the pig. It must be really,
Wow.
it must like be the good stuff.
This is. I like this.
You know, legally speaking,
A little different, isn't it?
it's a big argument. Tennessee whiskey is bourbon. There is no legal.
Well, he says bourbon in the bottle, yeah.
Yeah, does it say bourbon?
Yeah.
Yeah. So this is made. Yeah.
That's more than 51% corn. It's
Yeah,
bourbon.
and there's 1,000 people always argue: is Jack Daniel's bourbon? Is Jack Daniel's not bourbon? No, Jack Daniel's qualifies as bourbon. They just don't want to be called bourbon. By being different, by saying bourbon plus, it's a marketing move. But if you talk to their head distiller, or the fact that there are people sourcing liquid from Dickel, that is
yeah.
Didn't they had a distiller that passed away a few years ago?
no. He retired. He's still alive.
Well, he'd rather. I mean, if you retire distilling, you're like dead.
Yeah, you're dead to me for sure.
Yeah.
So
I
how'd you
asked
get
though,
him?
you know, before you spend that's a $350 bottle, not huge, but one you want to make sure it's gonna be good. So I asked her. They said, and the guy looked at me, and goes, "It's a pretty good juice." And I was like, I'll get it. I was like, the way he said that, you hear it start calling juice, because some real aficionados, which I'm not, but I appreciate the guys that
I
are.
really like this.
I'm an ass aficionado myself.
Yeah. We're talking about bourbon.
You know, I watched the first
Excuse
part of
me,
y'all's
excuse
interview, and he didn't strike me as color commentary guy.
Oh, man.
Until last night's story. Your story was amazing.
It's one of my favorite. That Freeland
they
from
shot my
Oregon
friend,
is
at
my
least
favorite
they
out of
shoot me.
Kentucky
Yeah.
bourbons.
Well, Mara told a story last night about his friend getting shot, so it was entertaining. Sean, tell us about, you have something next to you that we kind of want to get to with the few minutes we have left.
I'll quickly tell you, I've had a disaster in bourbon that involved you. Not because of you, it was my disaster, and I had one of the most pleasurable things in my life about bourbon. Didn't have to do with bourbon, but it had to do with making, Blanton's. I'd gone through my Blanton's. When I first moved to Kentucky, Blanton's was 35 or 37 bucks a bottle. You get a Rite Aid, CVS. It was just another bourbon. Then by 2017, I moved here in 2015, and by 2017, you couldn't find it. But so, if it's Belle, and each one has a letter on it, and then you can buy this stave for like 50 to 150, usually 75 or 125 bucks, plus the caps or another. And I thought, you know what?
Tell the story. You did the BLANT. People don't know the story.
Okay, each bottle of Blanton's has the cap and the cork, and on the back leg, it's got a letter. So
Oh, I do see
B, you got the B. This is the L. I got a nice gold limited edition Blanton's, the gold, shiny gold cap. Most of them are bronze. It just goes, and it's actually, if you look at the horses, he's sitting up. He's getting ready to go in the gate.
Oh, I
he's
didn't know
starting.
that. I knew the
He's
letter.
racing towards the end.
full race.
He's taking his crop and going, "Get finished, bitch, finish!" And then here he's finishing, and he wins. He's got the fist pump going on. He's got his So it's like the whole series of the race. So I thought that was pretty cool, but I just didn't like the commercial idea of. I was kind of upset with Blantz for playing the FOMO and going rare. And all the the millennials are all buying it up because I'm putting Blanton's, and I thought that's kind of. So I did my own stave. I got a free stave from a buddy, and I got in my garage and I started drilling it. And first I thought, oh shit, this oak is old oak, and I was like, I had that spade bit going, and it went in like 1/8 of an inch fast, but then it stopped. I was like going, oh man, I'm gonna burn out my motor. But, so I was going, oh shit, I was gonna give up. But then all of a sudden these aromas started coming out. Wow. Cherry smoke and vanilla smoke and caramel smoke. I went and closed the garage door. My wife came
in there huffing.
My wife came in about 20 minutes later and thought garage door down, smoke in the garage, carbon monoxide. Honey, what are you doing? I said, come over here and check this out. And she's like,
Bob,
wow.
what does that remind you of there?
We're just trying to tell an innocent story here, Mom. But so man,
he's got Russian hands and Roman fingers. Very cultured, this guy.
It took me a while. I measured it out. I have a little bit of math background, science background, pre-med and everything. And so I got the distances all right, and I started doing. I said, this is not going to work. But then when the smells came, I said, I don't care how long this takes. Wow. My wife, each one took like 15 or 20 minutes to go. 3/4 of an inch to get through, and I had to measure the thing and get the right spade bit and everything. But this is like one of my happiest times. The opposite disaster time was when you and I started trading some bourbon by mail, and I ordered some the limited edition gold cap, and I got a good price on it. Shipped it in from UK, and I went to the post office to mail it, and I had too many things in my hands, and somehow it made it from England to me, but I couldn't even get 10 miles or 5 miles to the airport, to the post office, and I dropped it and it hit the ground. Boom! I saw all the liquid come out of the box, and I said, "Well, I guess I'm not mailing this to Bob." and it was the fastest bottle of blends I ever saw get non-consumed.
But you saved the cork.
Yeah, I saved the cork. I figured, what the hell?
You mentioned the whole rare thing. It's not their fault. Going allocated isn't something that you choose to do. It simply has to do with shit. I can only produce so much.
Capacity.
Yeah, it's a capacity thing.
And there's so many good bourbons at Buffalo Trace with
their entire lineup is allocated.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Everything Buffalo Trace makes is on allocation.
Really?
Except Buffalo Trace, but
No, Buffalo Trace is on allocation.
Well, speaking of allocation,
well, it's got the same name as the distillery, at least.
We've allocated out of time.
Yeah,
we've allocated out of time. We did get in 3 pours. We could do a victory pour offset, but Sean, I want to thank you very much for coming in. As a resident Louisville.
I want to leave you a little gift. He gave you a gift for the back pocket. I have a gift for your front pocket.
Oh,
and one thing about moving to Kentucky, the Lexington Bluegrass Airport, you get off the plane, and there's a bourbon store right there. And I thought this is a cute little one for Bob to put in his pocket as he cruises around. And,
there you go.
Look at this, Rock Castle. Oh, this is a barrel pick too.
Yeah,
It is.
He says it's pretty good. It's not a huge, but I hope you enjoy it.
Pocket whiskey because you put it in your pocket.
Yeah, nobody's
Pocket
looking.
whiskey, yeah.
You
Speaking
turn it back
of
in the crowd.
trading bourbon by mail, my address is also public record as well.
You got it right?
Yeah.
So I don't mean to be forward.
A little flask is handy, but you can still just turn your back, and this lasts longer than a little flask. And anyway.
Just get to that .05. That's it. Get to that creative
We'll
zone.
get up. We'll get up to point.
Knowing when to stop is key.
Well, Sean, thanks for coming on.
My pleasure, man. I love you guys.
Thank you, Morrow, for giving us the commentary and coming back on the show. Always a happy guest to have you. But Sean, we have to ask.
Repeat offender.
Yeah, repeat offender.
Definitely offender.
Yes. And now he's repeating. So, Sean, before we ask, we have to ask you, what is your bourbon approved? Where do you like to live with the heat of your drink?
I hate to be a repeat speaker, but I love the cast strength too, and that's
Nice.
part of my
My
problem.
man.
Yeah.
High proof, even like Penfold for $35, not $39. Penfold has a high proof, and Penfold's kind of cool because it has the name of a horse on it, and I'm being a horse person, I like that. But high proof and cast strength, you can drink them slow. You don't drink them to get intoxicated. You drink them just to enjoy every sip. You have a little bit of a ginger ale on the side to like cleanse your palate, like sorbet between sips, and I just like that big poo, kind of wake you up, and just every
Cast
flavor.
strength it is.
Every
I
flavor in
agree
the
so
world.
far.
Boom,
Good
so I
man.
love it.
Sean,
cheers.
thanks for coming on. Cheers, brother.
Cheers to you guys. Hope we do this again someday.
How's tomorrow?